Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 tournament action. Yes, indeed, we're back with the Warhammer Fantasy League qualifiers. This time we're going to be taking a series between Tlaxtlan Soothsayer and ODM Slayer. So Slayer is part of the ODM clan, and Tlaxtlan Soothsayer is definitely one of the top seeded players, a very, very good player. So let's go ahead and watch what happens. So, in this particular matchup, Slayer's taken the Dark Elves and Soothsayer has taken the Wood Elves. So this is actually game 2 of this series. Game 1, I do have the replay, but it's a 2.5-minute victory for Slayer. He took the Beastmen up against the Dark Elves and just completely rolled them over. I mean, the battle was really, really one-sided, and since it was only 2.5 minutes long, I didn't bother casting it. What I may do with some of, because there are a few replays from the tournament that are just super short, what I may do is string a few of them together into one video, just so that you guys still get to see those builds, and I still get to show off those players, you know, playing at a very high level, but just because those replays are so short, they don't typically work for a full-length video. But this is a very, very good battle, so you guys are in for a treat now. Yeah, so let's get straight to the army compositions. For Slayer, he's got Malekith on the ground here, just waddling along. It does make him a very small target, though, and he's not going to be subject to the anti-large bonus that a lot of the Azerite infantry do carry. He's got Gaze of Malice, Blade Wind, as well as Chill Wind for maximum area of effect damaging. For the infantry, it looks like we've got a front line of 4 Corsairs. We've got 2 Bleak Swords, 2 Dread Spears on each flank, and 1 more in the rear. 3 Dark Shards with shields. The shields are very, very important here, having that missile block chance. And the animation of these guys is just super cool, how they reload, you know, like recock the crossbow with the shields. He's also got 4, actually correcting 3 Cold One Knights, 1, 2, and another on the far side, as well as 2 Dark Riders with shields, again for that missile block chance and that mobility, which is very important against the Wood Elves. For Soothsayer here, he's got a Glady on a horse. As I said before, most competitive pick. She's got pretty much nothing except the Prey of Anathema for a very, very cheap kit. We've got some Glade Riders supporting. There's also some Wild Riders with shields here. Back here in the forest, taking their home where they belong, we've got 4 War Dancers, 2 here and 2 in a second line here. We've got 1 Eternal Guard, 1 Dryad, 3 Glade Guards with Starfire Shafts, and 2 more Wild Riders, 1 with shields, 1 without. We've also got a Spellsinger Lore of Life. Let's go ahead and look at the spell loadout here. So we've got Earth Blood and Regrowth, so pure healing on this Life Caster here. And I believe that's pretty much everything. I don't think I missed any units hiding off in the woods, so let's go ahead and kick things into full gear and watch what happens. So first things first, we're going to get a little bit of a skirmish phase underway. The Wood Elves definitely have a range advantage. I mean, obviously the Dark Shards have relatively short range, so, you know, Soothsayer can just continuously pull away with these Glade Riders here, as well as the Glady, and just stay out in front of the range of the Dark Shards. You know, it's not going to be too hard to stay out in front, and what his plan is going to be to just kite him along, you know, this entire space here. It's going to allow him to use up quite a bit of ammunition from these Glade Riders and from the Glady, then pull the Dark Elves into an engagement kind of in the forest here, using the Starfire Shafts to do some firing initially, and then falling back into the second line, then allowing the War Dancers here to fight in the woods. The War Dancers obviously, you know, have relatively low armor and no missile block chance, so even, you know, although Dark Shards are armor piercing, obviously they're still going to be good against low armor targets just because they have so much volume of fire. 2 shots per unit model means they can do a lot of damage even to low armor targets, so see some fire coming in. No Hagbane tips on these Glade Riders, so no poison being applied there, but still some nice damage going to be done. And the Glady is just continuously poking away at Malekith. Her missile attack actually does quite a bit of damage, and despite Malekith's missile block chance, she's been able to make pretty solid contact so far. So he's been poked away a little bit. I don't think he has Soul Stealer to be able to heal himself, so all that damage will be, you know, true damage to the face. You can see some really nice work doing some scouting here with the Dark Riders with shields in the forest, going to discover these Wild Riders and then immediately try and pull back away to the edge of the forest where he can get some support here. But, of course, the Wild Riders will catch these Dark Riders, but he is going to take this engagement here and just tie these guys down for a moment. So the other unit of Wild Riders is clashing with the Cold One Knights here in a very, very bloody Beast Cavalry combat here. This is definitely going to favor the Cold One Knights with their armor and anti-large bonus. It's still a relatively even fight here. You can see this is very, very bad. We've got the Blade Wind going down, and you can see the infantry support from the Dark Elves are close by, meaning these Wild Riders need to get out of here or they're going to get punished very, very quickly. The Glady's also in here, a little bit dangerous for her to be here. We've also got one unit of War Dancers, a little bit of support here. It looks like the War Dancers are going to be pulling in and trying to get in on this infantry engagement here. Man, that Blade Wind did a little bit of friendly fire, but both these units of Wild Riders being routed off. One of them 1450, about 2200 hit points here, and 22 unit models there. Yeah, so both of them took quite a bit of damage there. Very, very unfortunate. The thing is, for the Dark Elves, they don't really have the mobility to follow it up and push these guys off the side of the map. And we'll see, it does look like one of the Wild Riders is going to rally here. The other one might not rally. They do have that regrowth, so that's very unfortunate. It looks like they do rally right at the edge of the map here. Meanwhile, the Starfire Shafts in the mainline fight are just opening up shots, you know, skirmishing with these Black Ark Corsairs, which is a very good target. You can see a few of them have fallen on the approach. The Starfire Shafts are going to be falling back. One of them did unfortunately get caught by these Dark Riders right here, but the countercharge is now going to be going, it looks like pulling back at the last second and then recharging in with the Dryads there. So they're going to be bogging down that entire flank. Those Blade Guards with Starfire Shafts, though, are probably gone. But now the War Dancers are going to show their worth here in defending this line here, charging from the forest. Going to be just absolutely cleaving their way through these Bleak Swords. Bleak Swords won't be able to stand up to War Dancers in the slightest, especially being attacked in the rear by the Glady here. That's definitely going to help. So this infantry fight should initially favor the Wood Elves, especially since they're taking this fight here in the forest, where now that the Dark Shards have pulled up in range, they're not going to have the easiest time firing in here. A lot of their shots are going to be obstructed. Meanwhile, over on this flank, the Dark Elves have been able to consolidate a little bit here. Wild Riders, I believe, did squeak away. Yeah, there are some Wild Riders here in the back, cleaning up this last unit of Dark Riders with shields and Cold One Knights. These guys are going to be very important later on in the game, that they're still alive. But for now, these guys are trying to chase off this last unit of Wild Rider here. Slayer knows that the Wild Riders, even tattered, can still be a very, very dangerous unit. You can see the Wood Elves did win that infantry fight fairly handily. These War Dancers are definitely better than the Black Ark Corsairs, despite the armor of the Corsairs. They're going to be charging through now, getting in on these Dark Shards here. It does look like there are some spears here for support, so potentially going to be able to pull away these Dark Shards here. Yep. And Slayer's doing a really nice job here of forming a concave. So he's got the one, crossbow here. He's falling back away in a different direction here, and he's probably going to do the same with this crossbow here. What that's going to do is create a concave around these units, so that then, if a unit compromises this way, then you can turn and fire here. If it goes this way, then, this unit here can turn and fire, and so on. If it goes this way, same thing. You can turn and fire this way. So it's very important when you have missile infantry to deploy in a way that you can do so, and you can see they're actually able to break off these War Dancers with the supporting concave of fire here, and this other unit of War Dancers as well is likely going to be routed off here. So what initially seemed like a very favorable engagement for the Wood Elves is going to start to turn against them. Losing all those Wild Riders early on was pretty rough, but this Wild Rider has been able to come back and clean up a few of these infantry here. If the Wild Riders are left unopposed, they are going to do quite a bit of damage, and you can see they are getting into the chicken coop now. This other unit of Wild Riders that rallied from behind going to be coming in and absolutely decimating these Dark Shards. They did take a little bit of damage from that well-placed Blade Wind, but these Wild Riders are here, and there's no mobility that the Dark Elves have that can counter them at this point. So a regrowth going to be dropped on these guys, going to keep them up at full strength, and they're just using their speed and mobility to ride around here and just ping-pong back and forth, between these units of Dark Shards here, and just kind of not stay in one place for too long, not allow these Dread Spears to really pin them down. And you can see the infantry fight is somewhat turned against the Wood Elves. There are still some more Wild Riders rallying in the fourth quarter here. Again, thinking about charging in there, but deciding not to, since there are some Dread Spears. There are still a few Glade Guards with Starfire Shafts around as well. Wild Riders are going to have to be careful, though, because this contingent now is emerging out of the forest. We've got Cold One Knights as well as more Black Ark Corsairs and Dread Spears pushing down this way. So it's going to have to be a very, very tight fight, but You can see the Wild Riders just absolutely making mincemeat of this back line here. The Dark Shards are completely shut down at this point. All 3 units are just completely wrecked. We've still got a relatively healthy unit of Starfires. Of course, as soon as I say that, Malekith drops that Gaze of Malice there. The Eternal Guards are cleaning up what's left of these Cold One Knights, so things are starting to look okay for the Wood Elves. They're starting to pull things back here, and it looks like they will be able to carry the day. This pocket is definitely favoring the Dark Elves here, but they're a little bit blobbed up, and if he can get this one relatively healthy unit of Glade Guards with Starfire Shafts to open up, they're going to get some really nice value firing into this big blob of Druchii troops here. So yeah, very unfortunate, and that is going to proc the Enrage from the Cold One Knights as well, so they're unfortunately not going to be able to be microed and sent after the, the important high-value targets here. Another unit of relatively healthy Glade Guard going to be secured by the help of the Dryad, and, this other rallying unit of War Dancers here. They're going to collapse and finish off this Dread Spear. You can see the balance of power starting to shift in the Wood Elves' favor. Still quite a bit of battle left to play, though. As soon as I say that, it starts shifting back and forth. But, yeah, this unit of Cold One Knights is going to be finished off by the Wild Riders here. This infantry force is pretty much all that, the Dark Elves have left. Malekith is still alive, of course. He's casting spells, dropping that Chill Wind, just continuously dropping that Chill Wind and Blade Wind. Racked up quite a few kills, I would imagine. Let's go ahead and look here. 70 kills, yeah. He's been doing pretty decent just with his magic. You can see the Prey of Anathema, though, being dropped on these guys, and that does mean the missiles are going to open up shop here, and just the Daka coming through. There's not that many missiles left online, but even what there is still left here, it's going to be very, very strong and hard to deal with. So Eternal Guard's just being used as a meat shield here just to hold up this entire group while the last of the Wood Elf missiles, use up their ammunition firing into this fight. Just tried to finish things off here. Malekith still dropping that Blade Wind, though, not giving up, just continuing to poke away at those Starfire Shafts. If he can wither the rest of this ammunition without losing too many troops, he could potentially pull this back here. But Wild Riders in the periphery, cleaning up what's left of the Dark Shards, and probably going to be cleaning up those Cold One Knights as well. So let's go ahead and just watch the late game scenario. Dark Elves are kind of pulling things back. It's still pretty well in the Wood Elves' favor at this point. And you can see these infantry all moving up together, using that missile block chance. But wow, that Glady's bow just did quite a bit of damage, especially shooting in at a side angle like this. She can potentially pick off, 2 to 3 unit models at the same time. But it's going to be tough because, yeah, this is exactly what the Wood Elf player should be doing. Tlax showing his skill there in positioning. He's got the one Starfire Shaft over here and splitting up these other 2 in these other directions. So then, again, they can fire from the concave like Slayer was doing earlier with his Dark Shards. Tlax now returning the favor here with these Starfire Shafts, and that is pretty much going to spell the death knell of the Druchii troops here. Malekith's very, very tired. He's been trudging around the battlefield all day. Now just taking these Starfire Shafts in the back, that is going to do quite a bit of armor piercing to him, and he's not going to be able to hold up his leadership, and with his leadership faltering, the rest of the Druchii troops will falter. So we'll go ahead and put it in fast forward as Malekith suffers his ignominious end here at the hands of the Azrai. So very well played to both players. Hope you guys enjoyed watching that battle. I always love watching players of this caliber. You learn a lot, and you see, just some crazy tactics and great plays on both sides. Very well played. Tlax is one of the best players in the world, I would say. I'd give him that title. One of the best. I don't know about the best. That's obviously, what the league is for, to settle who that is exactly. But in terms of the build here, man, those Wild Riders, I initially thought they had taken the brunt of things, but they came back in that second and third quarter and just did a ton of damage. 95, 155 kills on these guys. The Sword Dancers as well, 67, 50 kills, XP Chevrons, 97 here, no Chevron, but still, they just carved through that very wide front line of the Dark Elves. It used to be that I very much, would agree with this type of pick, where you go very wide in terms of the front line, and you just bring a lot of cheap infantry and just overwhelm. But War Dancers are actually very good against fodder tier infantry now, so I'm not really sure. I'd have to play around in this little matchup. I think the Wood Elves actually have a pretty nice advantage here, especially with how Tlax played things. Just masterful play there. Glade Riders did very, very well, weren't caught at all. The Glady took no damage whatsoever. And yeah, the infantry did take the brunt of the assault there, but the Wild Riders really able to pull things back in that second quarter. And for Slayer here, fighting under the name 6ix9ine, highlights for him, definitely these Cold One Knights, 95 kills. They were able to get on that Wild Rider, and that's the thing is with the Wild Riders is They're very much a glass cannon unit. If they get hit by a hard counter like these Cold War Knights, they're going to die pretty quickly. But if you can keep them on the move, keep them away from big nasties like Cold War Knights, and just get into the squishies like these Dark Shards with shields, you can see how effective these Wild Riders can be. So very well played to both players. Hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you like this kind of content, like and subscribe. I'm keeping it coming with more Total War Warhammer 2 content every single day, so stay tuned for more, and we'll see you next time.